In this video, we shall discuss about the different types of computer memory. Basically, there are three main types of computer memory. One is the primary memory, the cache memory, and the secondary memory. So, there are three types of computer memory: primary memory, cache memory, and the secondary memory. We shall see in detail about each memory. The first one is the primary memory. It is also called as the main memory of the computer system. So, the user entered data or the instructions and the programs must be first loaded in the main memory. Then only the CPU can process them. So, it is the main memory. The CPU can access the main memory directly. All the programs and the data entered by the user must be first loaded in the main memory. Then the CPU can access it directly. And it is temporary or volatile memory. Volatile memory means the data is lost when the power is turned off. So when there is no power, all the data stored will be lost. So that is volatile memory. That's why we call it as a temporary memory. And the speed is, it is faster than the secondary memory. And its capacity is, it's a medium sized memory. We can store data in the range of gigabytes. Okay. And under the primary memory, there are two types of memory. One is the ROM and the other one is the RAM. ROM means it is read-only memory, and RAM means it is random access memory. So this ROM is a permanent and non-volatile memory. Non-volatile memory means all the data will not be lost even when the power is turned off. Whereas this RAM or random access memory, it's a temporary and volatile memory. So this is all about the primary memory. Okay, and next we shall see about the cache memory. So the cache memory is actually present between the primary memory and the CPU. Okay, so actually when the data and the program or the instructions are stored in the main memory, the CPU has to go and access the main memory for the data, isn't it? So in some programs, some data and the instructions will be repeatedly or frequently used. So those data or the instructions will be stored in this cache memory. So this cache memory is used to store the frequently used data. It is used to store the frequently used data so that the access time by the CPU will be reduced. It need not go and fetch the data from the main memory. It can immediately take the data from the cache memory. So it reduces the access time by the CPU. So first what happens, the CPU checks the cache memory for the data. If the data is not available in the cache, then it goes and fetches the data from the primary memory. So cache memory is very high speed memory. Okay, it is faster, even faster than the primary memory or the RAM. And its nature is, it's temporary and volatile. That is, the data stored will be lost if the power is turned off. And the capacity of the cache memory is in a very small memory, that is in megabytes. Okay, we can store the data only in megabytes, because we are not going to store all the data in the cache memory. In the memory, we are going to store only the frequently used information. So the size of the memory will be small when compared to the primary memory, but the speed is very high speed when compared to the primary memory. And the last one is the secondary memory. It is also called as the external or auxiliary memory. So it is used for long-term data storage. Okay, so for some of the secondary memory we can say are hard disk drive or pen drive, okay, SD card. So all these are some examples of the secondary memory. So the CPU cannot access the data from it directly. So when we want to store the data permanently or for long term, then we use secondary memory. The speed of the secondary memory is lower when compared to primary and the cache memory. So the nature is it's a permanent or non-volatile memory. So even when the power is turned off, the data will not be lost or erased. And the capacity is, it is the largest type of memory. We can store data in terabytes. So this is all about the different types of memory present in the computer system. We shall see in this slide how the memory and the processor communicate. Okay, so this in this picture, this is the central processing unit or the CPU, and these are the three types of memory which we discussed earlier: the primary memory, the cache memory, and the secondary storage. So how the processor communicates with these three types of memory? The processor, it can communicate directly with the primary memory. So whatever instructions or data that are currently needed, the CPU will fetch it directly from the primary memory. Okay, whereas if some data or program or instruction which are frequently used or repeatedly used, then the CPU will take it from the cache memory. So the frequently used data will be stored in the cache memory. The processor will fetch those data from the cache memory. Similarly, in the secondary storage, we will have some data which are the data which are permanently stored. But CPU cannot access the secondary storage directly. So if it wants to take the data from the secondary storage, it will send a command through the operating system to the secondary storage. Okay, so the secondary memory will transfer the data to the primary memory, and from the primary memory, the CPU will access the data. The data could be transferred to the cache memory, or it can directly communicate with the primary memory and access the data. So this is how the processor communicates with the different types of memory.